friends, and welcome to another bookish chatty video. I am Emily and I love to talk about wholesome, cozy, usually vintage or older books, and I have a lot to talk about. It's been a minute since I filmed a video. It's just been busy, but I have been doing a fair amount of reading. Yeah, I'm actually surprised. I feel like I've done more reading than any other sort of creative hobby that I typically do, just because I'm able to do a decent amount of reading while I am nursing my baby. And so I've been able to read quite a few books. I feel like October was actually a pretty good, whew, my tea is very hot, a pretty good reading month. I ended up reading a lot more books than I expected, to be honest. Let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 books in October, which is pretty good. It's really funny because if I look at it in August, which was when baby was born, I read 4 books. But my reading since then has definitely picked up. So we have a decent amount to chat about today, so I recommend getting a cup of tea. I have it in this adorable otter mug that I bought for myself. Ow, hot! A couple years ago. Super cute. I got it off of Wayfair, I think, and I bought it as a birthday Christmas present for myself. But I am drinking a Vermont maple ginger tea by Celestial Seasonings. This is my 3rd cup of tea for the day. And yeah, it's perfect drink for a nice cozy autumnal day. It's very overcast outside, so perfect for talking about books. First off, we're going to talk about a couple of books that I've read. I'm obviously not going to talk about all of the books that I have read, but I finally got around to reading the Bookshop on the Corner, and I can't remember if it's the Bookshop on the Shore or the Bookshop by the Shore. 2 books by Jenny Colgan, I believe is how you pronounce it. And I have been meaning to read these books, especially the first one, The Bookshop on the Corner, for quite a long time. I just never got around to it, and so I finally did. And I have a few thoughts. So basically, The Bookshop on the Corner is a book about Nina, and she is working at a library in London, and then the library is closed down because they're rebooting it with a lot less books and a lot more computers and technology, sort of a thing. Ugh, rude. And so Nina no longer has a job, and she decides, kind of spur of the moment, that she is going to buy a van and have a mobile bookstore, basically, which sounds amazing. So, due to some complications and stuff in London, where she originally intended to have her bookstore van, she moves to Scotland. What the heck? So unfair. So she has a bookstore van and she moves to Scotland, and she lives in this redone barn apartment that has, on the back of it, has a whole wall of windows looking out over the rolling Scottish countryside. And it's just not fair. Granted, it's fictional, but at the same time, rude. That would be like perfect, peak, ideal dream life, is to have a little farm in Scotland. Anyway, and she moves up there, and her apartment is on the farm of a farmer. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but basically Mr. Hunk. And she goes up there, and her bookshop is very successful. She drives around to a bunch of these small Scottish towns that used to have, there used to be a library, but there's no longer a library because these towns are just so small. And it's very successful, and she makes some really good friends there and just really makes a home in this new little town. And a little bit of a spoiler, if you have not read the book, maybe skip forward a few seconds, or, well, I don't know. I can't really do non-spoilery discussions on books. Basically, in the end, she ends up with hot farmer dude, and they are together, and yeah, that's what they do. They're staying together. and that's kind of how the book ends. It was a really fun, cozy, fairly chill book to read. Usually I don't care for contemporary romances, but this one wasn't bad. It wasn't like the most amazing, brilliant book I've ever read, but I did really enjoy it. It was very cozy and I read it very quickly. I loved the descriptions of the Scottish countryside and the little town life. It was a lot of fun. And so, because I had enjoyed the first book in the series, I picked up the second book in the series, which is about, I want to say Susan, but I don't think that's the right name. I can't remember the name. It's been a minute since I've read these books. But, so this one is about a young single mother. She has a little boy, I think he's about 5 years old. And she loses her job, I think, is what happens. She's living in London as well. She loses her job. She is her ex-boyfriend, who is her son's father. This is gonna sound so convoluted. His sister is Nina's best friend, or one of Nina's really good friends. So she ends up hearing, in this one, again, a little bit of a spoiler, Nina is pregnant, and so she is not going to be able to run the bookstore for a certain amount of time because she's going to be on maternity leave, and while her baby's really tiny, she needs help with the bookstore. So they hire this lady. We're going to call her Susan. I don't think her name is Susan. I cannot remember what her name is. Actually, let's just look it up. Let's just look it up real quick and see what it is. Hold on. Let me see here. Let's see. Bookshop on the Shore. The Bookshop on the Shore. Zoe. It's not anywhere close to Susan. Zoe. So Zoe and her little boy end up moving up to Scotland as well, where she's going to be jointly helping Nina run her little bookshop van, and she's going to be a nanny for a widower with 3 children. Very classic trope. To be honest, I did not enjoy this book as much as the first one. Zoe kind of really, really annoyed me for the first third of the book. She just, I don't know, part of the thing that frustrated me was the depiction of like motherhood, and it was talking about how like miserable and blah blah blah, and it's all like just such a mess, and I hate that depiction of motherhood in a lot of contemporary books, TV, movies. It drives me insane because it seems so negative rather than kind of focusing more on the positive side of things. So that part really kind of annoyed me, especially as a brand new mother myself. And Zoe just kind of was a bit annoying, and the way that she reacted to it as a parent to her son in certain circumstances really frustrated me. But then the book did pick up. She is nanny to these 3 very badly misbehaved children, and she kind of comes in and helps them fix their lives, basically. Kind of the classic governess widower trope. And so she does the bookshop, and she sells a bunch of books and whatnot, but her focus is less on that and more on making money, whereas Nina is very much, she wants to get the right book to the right person. So they make a good team. It was okay. It wasn't anything spectacular for a book. And again, like I said, I definitely preferred the first one. But it was fun. It was okay. It wasn't okay enough. It wasn't nice enough that I was looking at reading the third book in the series, which is like 500 Miles from You or something. I wasn't really interested in continuing reading the series, so I do think that The Bookshop on the Corner was worth a reread or reading in general, but I didn't care for The Bookshop on the Shore as much. It wasn't as much of a favorite for me. So, those were 2 books that I read that I really wanted to mention here, and then let me really quickly browse through some of the books that I read to see if there was anything else that I had wanted to make note of. In the last one I mentioned that I was reading, in my recent reads video, I mentioned I was reading The Astonishing Adventures of Jane Smith by Patricia Wentworth. I finished that one. It was lovely. It wasn't really From what I remember, I think I had mentioned that it was a Golden Age murder mystery. It was a Golden Age mystery. There wasn't a murder in there, but it was really good. Again, I am a huge fan of Patricia Wentworth. I love her writing style. Every one of her books that I have read, I have absolutely loved. And I recently discovered that not only did she write 30-something books for the Miss Silver series, but she also has a number of other Golden Age mystery books. So I'm really hoping to get my hands on more of those. I did very much enjoy the book. It was really good. Highly recommend. So there's that one. Let's see. Then I read a couple of Georgette books, which were both very good. And then I have been in the mood for a bunch of Agatha Christie. And I've been rereading a bunch of Patricia Wentworth's Miss Silver books. I read all of them at the beginning of this year, and I've just been in the mood for like cozy mysteries. I did want to mention I think it's not YA, I think it's middle grade is how it's classified. A middle grade book that I just accidentally discovered. I was browsing through on my Libby app. I've been reading a ton of books on my iPad because I can read on there at night when I am nursing baby. I really love my Kindle, but I've just been using my iPad so much more because it has the backlight. So I just accidentally found The Clockwork Crow by Catherine Fisher, and I need to grab the second book in the series that I got from the library that's downstairs, and I need to change my battery, so I will be right back. Okay, the framing is probably a little bit different, but whatever. Like I said, accidentally discovered a middle grade book called The Clockwork Crow by Catherine Fisher on my Libby app, and I was looking for something kind of quick, easy sort of a read. I was just kind of in a funny mood, and so I picked it up and really enjoyed it. It was fun. It's a very short book. Let me actually pull it up here and I will read you the description of it because it's so sweet. It was set around Christmas time. I feel like I keep doing this where I accidentally read a book that's set around Christmas time when it's not close to Christmas time yet. And it's about a little orphan girl named Saran, something like that, and she is adopted by this family. I think they live in Wales. I think that's where it is. But let me pull this up here. And on the way to this house where she's going to be living, she has kind of an adventure, and somebody gives her this package of, it looks like it's just a bunch of like gears and random things, and it turns out she gets to the house where she's going to be staying, and she puts it together, and it's a crow, a clockwork crow. So, let me read you the little description here. Orphan Saran Rees is on her way to a new life at the remote country mansion. I'm not going to try and pronounce it, I'm pretty sure it's Welsh. When she is given a package by a stranger late at night at an empty train station. The package contains a crotchety, mechanical, talking crow, which Saran reluctantly brings to her new home. But when she gets there, the happy Christmas she had hoped for turns out to be an illusion. The young son of the house, Thomas, had been missing for almost a year, rumored to have been taken by the fairies. With the crow's reluctant help and a little winter magic, Saran sets off on a perilous journey to bring Thomas home. An enthralling story of family and belonging set in frost-bound Victorian Wales. So I read that and I was very intrigued. So I read it, I very much enjoyed it. It's really cute, it's a very quick read. So I went to the library and picked up the second book in the series, which is The Velvet Fox. And look at this cover. I just love this cover so much. The artwork is really cute. And this is the second book in the series where it says, after rescuing Thomas from fairy enchantment, orphan Saran Rise wants nothing more than to enjoy her new life. But then a mysterious new governess arrives in a gust of leaves bearing both a magical toy carousel and troublesome beliefs about Saran's right to education. As her new family falls under the governess's spell and the carousel figures stalk the house, Saran calls upon her old friend the Clockwork Crow for help. Yet, even the crow fears the creature known as the Velvet Fox, and Saran will need to use her smarts to overcome the dangers around her and protect what she loves. Brimming with Welsh folklore lore, and to atmosphere, Catherine Fisher's latest tale would delight readers and wrap them within its spell. So, I'm planning to read this one pretty soon here. I keep forgetting about it. It's been downstairs on my couch underneath a couple of other things, and so I keep forgetting that it's there. But yeah, I highly recommend it. The first book was really fun. I really enjoyed it. Like I said, super quick read. Kids book, children's book, but to be fair, I love children's books. They're some of my favorite books. So I really enjoyed it. That was a brand new discovery, accidental discovery for me. And then, let me see, I think that's about it. Other than the... Yeah, okay. So now we're going to talk about Agatha Christie. And I am currently reading Agatha Christie's Sparkling Cyanide, which is about Iris, who... she's like the main... one of the main characters in the story. Her sister Rosemary died about almost a year before the beginning of the story starts due to cyanide poisoning, and then Rosemary's husband gets mysterious letters saying that Rosemary did not commit suicide like everybody was assuming, but that she was murdered. And then about a year later, at a replica party of that I'm making no sense, am I? Rosemary died at a birthday party. She took some cyanide that was in a cup of champagne. Everybody assumed it was suicide. Then her husband, George, gets these letters saying that it was murder, and he becomes obsessed with the idea that his wife was killed, so he decides to replicate that birthday party with the same guests, and he's trying to figure out who the murderer is, and he's pretty sure he's pretty close. Well, lo and behold, at this replicated birthday party, George also dies from drinking some cyanide and a cup of champagne. So they're trying to find out what's going on, who killed these people. So that's what I'm reading right now. I didn't realize this until like yesterday, that a decent portion of this book, or the second party, happens on November 2nd, which is All Saints Day. Today is November 2nd, which is All Saints Day. And I didn't realize that this book is set right at the end of October and the beginning of November. So I have accidentally picked the perfect Agatha Christie book to read. Hey, baby. So I'm reading that one. I've been rereading, like I said, I've been reading several Patricia Wentworth books, and I just finished reading Duplicate Death by Georgette, which is one of her murder mysteries. Georgette is more commonly known for her Regency romances, and but she also wrote a... It's okay. She also wrote a collection of like Golden Age murder mysteries, and so I just finished reading Duplicate Death, which was really good. It was about the murder of a couple of people who were murdered by being strangled with picture wire. And they're Golden Age murder mysteries, so they're kind of set in like, I think like the 40s, 50s time era. So that one was really fun. I just finished that one this morning. And then another book that I'm hoping to get to soon, but I'm not sure, is At Home in Mitford by Karon. I have had this recommended to me as a very good, like, cozy sort of a read, which I'm all about. It's okay, baby. One moment. Okay, I've popped him on the bed here. We'll see if he'll stay nice and calm so I can finish this up. As I was saying, I've had this book recommended to me as a lovely, cozy, wholesome sort of a read, and I really want to read it. The reason I haven't is because my library only has it available. They have it available as an ebook, but it's like a month and a half wait. And they only have the book form as a large print, which means that it is a very hefty sized book. And when I am nursing, I usually only have one hand free, and so it makes it a little bit difficult if the book is really heavy, because I have some issues with carpal tunnel, and so if I'm trying to hold a heavy book with one hand, sorry, I'm giving his pacifier, that's why I'm looking weird. Yeah. You okay? If I'm trying to feed him and then hold a heavy book with my other hand, it can hurt my hand. So I'm really gonna try and read this. I may go ahead and just buy a used copy of it. It would hopefully be a smaller book, but we'll see. I'm gonna try and at least read a portion of it and see if I like it, because I don't really want to buy a book if I'm not gonna end up liking it. So this is what I'm hoping to get to very soon. It's okay. It's okay. Yeah. And I will say, if you have any other sort of similar books like this that you would recommend that are cozy, wholesome sorts of reads, I would love to hear about it, because that's the type of book I love. Especially if they're a little bit historical. So kind of anything from probably like the 1950s, 60s, and before. Like if a story is set in that time period. I love that. Like I love Regency, Edwardian, all of that, and I also love stuff that's Golden Age, so like the 1930s, 1940s, 1920s. Ah, it's so good. So, that's what I'm hoping to get to. That's what I've been reading recently, and then I have a tiny little book haul, and I feel a little bad because it seems like every time I come on here, I talk about how I've got some new books to talk about that I've bought, and I don't buy that many books, but my videos are being so far spaced out that it seems like I'm buying books all the time. But my library they do a used book sale twice a year, once in the spring and once in the fall. And they just had their book sale this last weekend, and they have tons of books that are all available for $1. So I picked up just a few books, and I really lucked out when it comes to Georgette Heyer. So right now I have just a few of her books, but I have six of her Golden Age murder mystery books, and I was able to pick up 2 more of them for $1 a piece. So this is Death in the Stocks. It's got something on the cover. I need to wash that off. And Penhallow. And I just love I don't know what you call it, the style of these books. They just look so cool, and I'm super pleased to have a couple more to add to my collection. Yeah, I'm really excited about it. And they're really nice sized books. So I have these 2. I'm probably going to try and get to reading those soon. And then I also was able to pick up Georgette Heyer's False Colors. And this is definitely a vintage edition of this book. And I love it. It just looks so, so good. And I don't think I've read this one yet. So, yeah. Can I have 2 more minutes? Yeah. So I got those. I picked up this vintage edition of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, which it has been years since I have read this book, and I really want to reread it. And I just love these old style books. They're so lovely. I love how they feel. I love how they look. So I was super pleased to get this one. Yeah. And then, just picked up I picked up Theodore Mouse Goes to Sea, because the illustration, I've never read this book, but the illustrations are adorable, and I love little golden books. I have a whole collection of little golden books. But just like, look at how cute this is. So I was really pleased to get that. And then the last thing that I found was the World of Peter Rabbit postcard book. And I didn't realize what this was at first. I picked it up and I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. I'm going to flip through it and see, what is this? It's Beatrix Potter. I love Beatrix Potter. One of my favorite artists, authors. It's a whole little booklet of Beatrix Potter art. And I love that. That is one of my favorite ways to support like small business authors, or not authors, illustrators, is to purchase postcards instead of the fancy art prints, because a lot of times the postcards are significantly cheaper and much more economical. There's something I can afford. It's a way that I can still support an artist without having to spend a ton of money. And this is a whole book of Beatrix Potter illustrations as postcards, and I am so happy. Like, it has one of my favorite ones of her illustrations, this one, which is like a perfect wintertime illustration. So I'm definitely planning to get some frames and put some of these up on the wall. So, mini book haul. I'm gonna go because little man here is hungry. Yes, it's okay. It's okay. Give me 2 seconds. Thank you so much for hanging out with me and spending some time with me today. I'm really hoping to get a few more book-related videos up here. I have been woefully remiss. Okay, here. Will you be happy if I pick you up for a second? In getting videos done. It's his fault. Yeah. It's okay. But I'm hoping to do like a couple reading vlogs and to just keep doing these videos where I talk about what I've recently read. Again, like I said, if you have any favorite book recommendations that fit into the wholesome, cozy, drama-free vibes, I would love to hear about it. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I'll see you very soon on the next one. Bye!